Alrighty. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one and all to the best thing that we can do in these trying times during a drought. Speak goddamn insane and off the walls. So let's go over what we might expect for Pokemon presentations. Pokemon Presents 2025. Of course, this will be on Pokemon Day, and yeah. I can see a lot of people are off the deep end already. They are wanting it already. But first, on to your semesterly news. First up, we have a Terra EV event flying. This is similar to the first event that Pokemon had, or Game Distribution had, with a flying Terra Pikachu that was soon followed to be a Lechonk. But let me see. It looks like it'll go from February 7th all the way up to Pokemon Day. You can get these code cards at GameStop, Best Buy, Toys R Us from Canada, and EB Games if you are in Australia and New Zealand. If I'm reading this correctly, it must suck to be you, Europeans. I am very sorry about that. In other news, the other thing that so many people have been screaming about is that the trading feature. They are reworking the trading feature in TCG Pocket. If you hadn't heard, they finally added trading. The bad news is that trading sucks, and it takes a lot of resources. It takes about like 4 EXs to grind down to get a Gold Star? I'm not doing that math right. It's 4 EXs to get 1 more EX for trading. So these trading tokens that you grind down all your other funny EXs for, they say is to prevent abuse, but what is there to abuse if you don't have any extras? Anyways, they're saying that they are actively investigating ways to improve the feature to address these concerns. So, multiple ways to obtain trade tokens. Unluckily for us, it doesn't look like they're getting rid of trade tokens. Sucks to be us, but I guess that's to be expected if you've played enough DNA games from Pokemon over the years. I'd say they're gonna reduce it. 100 trading tokens, the amount that you need to trade, which still sucks. If anything, I think best case scenario would be 1 grind and to get 1 trade in for an EX. I think that 400, 500 is a bit ridiculous. So either that or they need to start burning more trades. Was it the trade hourglasses? It's convoluting. You know, I just don't want to deal with it. Either trade it properly, because you can only trade if you have extras, at least more than 2, so that you have 2 to build a deck, and then anything extra you can trade. So, who cares? I don't care if it's all about the abuse part, because I'm not sure how many people have like 5 phones laying around because you can only make 1 account per device. So, overall, this sucks. They're not gonna really fix it. So, let's be real. We'll see. Hopefully things change, but as the way things are going, DNA is probably not going to improve things at all. And recently, in Pokemon Sleep news, we have Paldean, Wooper, and Clodsire appearing soon. I'm saying Valentine's Day, so yeah. So why am I making these predictions? Should you listen to me? Why should you listen to me? Trust me. Just do it. I think you'll have a much easier time if you choose to do so. I think my predictions have been very usually right in the past. I know a lot of people like to rely on people like Riddler 2 or Poketubers, but like, come on. None of them are really right. Riddler 2, I think all of them suffer. The ones that cover these news, these leaks on a daily basis, they suffer from overhype. I think even Arlo suffers from this. It's an unfortunate problem, but yes, you overhype leads to unreasonable expectations. But really, just trust me. I've been in this long enough to know how these market cycles work for at least Pokemon. And otherwise, does anyone remember the time where they briefly teased terrestrialization in their second Scarlet and Violet trailer, but literally no one mentioned it or even thought it was like gonna be a mention to a gimmick? So, yeah. That was the first thing I picked up from that trailer that probably had lore relevance, which kind of did at the end of the day. But yeah, I think most people skipped over it when they really shouldn't if they're trying to pick apart the trailers. And usually, details like this are why, you know, most people don't seem to get things right. Even though Pokemon tends to leave them in, you know? Anyways, let's moving on to potential expectations. Reasonable expectations, really. You can see Pokemon Pocket, incredibly easy. I think after Genetic Apex and Mythical Island, we kind of have a basic understanding of what their release cycle on cards will be like. So probably by the end of the month, we'll get a new Pocket expansion with A2 Mini Set A. So it'll be pretty much similar to Mythical Island. I think since most of them already had Pokemon Darkrai, people like to think it's gonna be based on that, or Giratina of all things. It could be based on Giratina, I think, if they're still going to fall in line with Gen 4 as the main set theming. Probably a little bit of Arceus. Like, I don't really understand what they're going with this, but we'll see. We'll see at the end of the month. So, yeah. I think Pokemon Sleep should probably have another legendary trio come out sooner or later. Mainly because they've already ran through the Johto Beasts. This was like back in August? July or August when they had Suicune, which was their last legendary one. So they're kind of due for more significant events, basically. So we'll see. I think other mobile games like Cafe kind of do their own thing, away from regular Pokemon core conglomerate cycles. So yeah, we'll keep going. I think those are the most reasonable expectations, and of course, let's not forget Legends ZA news. I think I have a whole slew of predictions that I want to do, but I'm not gonna go through them right now because I think a lot of them are a bit too far-fetched and a little bit too overhyped. And I think if I want to tease you guys with something, I don't think it's gonna be in the future like many other people believe. I think if they choose to stick with the past and going off of what Loxton and Noggin has been saying about a ZA being in the past during like the Paris reconstruction and remodeling, yeah, I think they have much more potential to do it in the past than in the future, really. Like, you didn't see Volo screw off in ZA, and you go. So he's never gonna meet him, but Cynthia is. I mean, it works in a way, but if a man so devoted to his goal is going to go for his goal, I see no reason to believe that there's quite a bit of potential that we might see him in the next game. And I'll probably break down the rest of the lore, and that hasn't really been settled, even though there is really no lore for Pokemon. So we'll see. I think there's a lot more potential, anyways, for ZA to be in the past than in the future. Anyways, people have been spouting Black and White remakes. I don't know. I think it is entirely possible, and it is pretty likely. Ridley Koo has been saying it, thinking about it, teasing it. I'd say maybe 50-50 chance if Pokemon wants to do it. I think that's fine. It's a little bit weird that it's going to be at the very beginning of Generation 10 that they're actually going to do the remakes, but the big caveat of this is that basically it is going to be made by Ilka. Ooh, Ilka Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. And yeah. I think it's too big for Game Freak to take on a project with remakes, and that's kind of why they're doing Legend series as like a true remake. And I think if people want to relive those days of like a more back to roots kind of remake, I think from here on out, I think Ilka is going to do it mainly through Pokemon Works that they set up in 2024, so it was last year. So VSP came out in 2022, so I wouldn't be surprised if they probably started jumping into Black and White remakes, and that's why we've never really heard about it in the Terra leaks. So yeah, I think with Pokemon Works, it allows them to go through keep close tabs on Ilka, if you know what I mean. I think after the controversy that Ilka had with BDSP, I think I wouldn't be surprised if they set up Pokemon Works to, try and cover that up a little bit. But, so yeah, I would not be surprised. And why it would be announced this year, I think there's quite a bit of evidence to found that. Release dates could be anywhere from Pokemon Direct to, Switch 2 release, although that is highly doubtful, in my opinion. Because I feel like they'll want to use that market cycle to tease ZA. And otherwise, I think it is entirely possible that they will announce Gen 10. I don't know if they would do it, but I think it is highly possible that with Pokemon Day, they will have the most eyes rather than their regular August Pokemon Direct. So they will probably announce Gen 10 probably in a similar fashion to Gen 9 to avoid lag, bugs, controversy. But yeah. So we shall see. I think Pokemon, being the conglomerate that it is, does things way in advance. If you've seen the World 2026 announcement, you kind of get the gist. They start on these projects very early, and that's why I think there is reason to believe that even though everyone has been screaming at the top of their lungs that a gap year is very good for ZA, I think they already finished. I think the Terra Leaguer kind of confirmed it. I think Ridley Koo kind of confirmed it with his tweets on Gen 10 starting earlier than usual. But I think that break year, I think that's just them going on to Gen 10, which is, without a doubt, probably their biggest project yet. And I think ZA has been kind of pushed to the side and pretty much finished ever since whenever, I'd say August? Is that when the Turtle Leak happened? Before everything got leaked in October? So we'll see. So, Black White remakes, that was that was a long side tangent. So I won't go into ZA stuff anymore. I think, yeah. Why there will be black and white remakes made by Ilka? I think there is a lot of speculation and evidence that points to a Shadow Drop release or a release around the Switch 2 time, similar to BDSP and Legends. How Legends Arceus dropped. How can I prove that? Where's my evidence? Anyone remember Shiny Rayquaza events back in December? I think that is reason to prove enough, really. I think you had, so basically Pokemon Go had their Shiny Rayquaza raids. I'm pretty sure about that. I'm not a Pokemon Go person, but I'm pretty sure it is very easy for them to insert Shiny Rayquaza raid events. So, yeah. Second group that is usually in tandem with widespread events like that, Pokemon Masters EX, main games of course, some looser connections, maybe the TCG, Unite, or the anime. And we'll go into these one by one and how they can relate into a Black-White remake. One, Pokemon Go, Unova. They're doing a whole Unova tour right now. Very sussy. They're finally releasing. Are they finally making shinies of Zekrom and Reshiram? I'm not too sure about that part. But yeah. Another thing, Pokemon Masters. If anyone is even catching up with it anymore, I think people in the Japanese audience has a higher chance of probably realizing this. They released something recently called Arc Suits, and they're basically reskins to champions, and that's DNA's other game, and why I don't think they're gonna improve trading at all, very much to say the least. And when the first batch of Arc Suits released, they had data mines of a dark arc ring, a bug arc ring, and a fire arc ring. So we already know that Leon has already got his. This was like last month. No, this was 2 months ago actually. We're tipping into February. Sorry about that. So yeah. So this was 2 months ago, and even though these things are very new, if we have reason to believe that these things are releasing every 3 months, Bug and Dark Arc Suits are probably releasing in next month, actually. Because Leon was 2 months ago, and then first Arc Suits, Cynthia, Steven, and Lance were 3 months before him, back in September, October. So, who are these champions? I think you can know who these champions are, which are Alder and Iris. So, these two data mines, Alder is likely coming first. We don't really know who the Dark Arc Suit is gonna go to. Ku said Marnie. I highly doubt it's Marnie. It's probably gonna be Iris, of all people, because she hasn't had a new unit in a while, and I think Marnie is able to get a lot of love through other means and costumes that they have in Pokemon Masters. So yeah, another Unova coincidence coming out probably next month. And Unite, they were also part of it, but they haven't really clearly updated their game in a while. They had Shiny Rayquaza assets laying around, so I don't think they're gonna, even though they were part of the Shiny Rayquaza event, I don't think they're gonna be part of the Unova one, unless it's it's been like at least a year or two since they last released a new map, which was the Sky map, which Rayquaza was on. But I do not think I usually have low hopes for them, usually, because they are filled to the brim with microtransactions, and I don't think they're going to change their mode of operations unless they're ready for a new map, which would probably be Gen 5 if we go by 135. That's the conspiracy theory. Do not hold my word to that. I think I'm holding a bunch of straws here, grasping at them, but I don't think Pokemon Unite is going to do that unless they have more assets laying around. So yeah, we'll see. They released a new mode a couple days ago, and yeah, I don't think they're going to be doing anything new for at least several months. So I think we're going to get characters otherwise for Unite, because they just finished their last batch of announcements back when they announced Darkrai, Psyduck, and Galarian Rapidash. So they are due for announcements. They will most likely be announced at Pokemon Day. Didn't probably before that, as they do their monthly update. But yeah, it is possible, but I do not think Unite will be part of this weird black and white, Pokemon black and white conspiracy circle for Pokemon Day. The TCG, which I think is very, very interesting. They are holding a Black Bolt and White Flare sets hitting in June. These are the Japan set. We'll probably get them in July during July or August on the west side. So this would be English. But I will go into TCG later. But they usually release the TCG sets on games a little bit after the game releases. So, very interesting to note. I do not think these remakes will be on the Switch 2, so they can release it whenever they want. But yeah, it's quite curious. A lot of Pokemon Black and White coincidences. Not a lot of news right now. It's gonna be set similar to 151. It says, I think. Doesn't look like it. It's a double set. So I don't think that it will be completely like 151, but very similar to it. So we'll see. And lastly, anime. Entirely possible, but I think they're going to lean more into the Legend ZA side of it. I think they're mainly on their own thing now after Ash left. So we will see. I don't really watch the anime. I do keep track of it a little bit. I do not think that it will be as close to Black White remakes as it will be to ZA or whenever Gen 10 releases. So yeah, that's most of the stuff I have going. Pokemon Cafe is usually doing their own thing, so I do not think that they will be doing anything related to it. The closest thing that we can get from them is Zekrom and Reshiram as characters. I think, I'm not sure, did they release Tepig as a character? Probably, I do not remember. I think the game is very mid, so I don't think that we're gonna see much from Pokemon Cafe in the way of being in tandem with the rest of the Pokemon conglomerate machine. So, I have speculation to believe that these Black and White remakes will be in either shadow dropping on Pokemon Day or before ZA comes out. Also, another reason to why it is curious that's why so early is basically because they usually do remakes at the end of a generation rather than before. So we are still at the tail end of Gen 9. Gen 10 will not start until the anniversary, I can guarantee you that. So it is interesting to think about, but I think with Ilka and the Pokemon Works being a sidelines project thing, I will not be surprised if Black and White remakes are this early into Gen 10 or as late as Gen 9. I think it's been hyped up for a while, and I think Pokemon has been kind of pushed to do it due to its recently popularity. And also, a curious thought, a seamless transition from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2. I think Pokemon historically has been late to new console generations, but I think they're using ZA as a gateway to go directly into the Switch 2 as most likely a launch title. So I don't think that Black and White remakes will be for Switch 1. They would most likely be starting on... No. Black and White remakes on Switch 1, ZA on the Switch 2, whenever the Switch 2 releases. And so... yeah, I think it is very possible. And Black and White remakes can also serve as a purpose for the company to not only make extra money, but to be a way for Pokemon enjoyers and Pokemon fans to save up for the Switch 2 and get something while they save up for the Switch 2 before they get their hands on Legends EA. I think it is entirely plausible. It is something for more casual Pokemon fans to just munch on before they get the Switch 2. And unlike Arlo, thinking that it's gonna release multi-platform on the Switch 1 and Switch 2, I think purely Switch 2 is gonna be ZA's plan. And the Switch 1 with the Black and White remakes. And last but not least, something very interesting is that Pokemon is basically spoiling the Switch 2 release date. So I have a calendar up here, and we already know that we're not getting any more news for the Switch 2 until at least April. So, no news. April, they already have the Switch 2 hands-on event, so they are not going to get anything. And knowing that we have TCG trademark dates from the Pokemon TCG itself, from the physical card standpoint, we don't know when that's going to release yet, but considering how the last sets that were announced were the Black and White sets, it's basically removing the latter half of the year. So, we are not getting anything in September all the way to December. And I think they'll use those months to hype up Gen 10 if they announce it at Pokemon Day to hype up their 30th anniversary. And so, here's where we get to the fun part now that we only have 4 months left. The least time that the Switch 2 can release would be in May. Problem with May is that that's still a little bit too early after the hands-on events. I would say probably late end of May. And August, I don't think they would do it in August, mainly because of Pokemon Worlds and using the TCG trademarks. They are not releasing sets in August because of Worlds. So that leaves July and June as potential ZA release days. And if we are believing that ZA is going to be a release day launch title, the earliest we can have it is June. And I think there's much speculation to believe that it will be in June as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, Pokemon just spoiled the release date of the Switch 2. I'm not going to go through this again. It's probably going to be in June at the earliest. And yeah, I think it is very plausible that it will release in June for the Switch 2, as well as Legends ZA. So, if that is reason to be true, they are not going to give us a release day for Legends ZA yet on Pokemon Day. I think they'll say summer, late spring, we don't know. We'll see how the wind blows. But yeah. And that's about it. And I think if you understand my theory, my big brain theory, don't forget to subscribe. And remember, everyone is wrong except for me. Everyone is wrong. Poketubers are wrong. Leakers can be wrong. I don't think anyone is right except for me. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time when I probably make an hour-long discussion and comprehensive breakdown on why Legends ZA would be in the past and why this would, how everything would coalesce into some alchemy BS. And I'm not going to keep saying this because I think I'm gonna be a huge I'm fucking rambling. Alright, see ya.